The integrity of the American public square is currently facing a profound challenge that tests the limits of civil order. Across the country, citizens are witnessing a shift in the way religious and political differences are navigated in the community. What was once a matter of private faith has increasingly become a point of public friction. This tension is not merely about theology, but about the fundamental rules of coexistence. The core of the current controversy lies in the reported disruptions of established religious services. Allegations of organized groups entering churches to interrupt Christian congregations suggest a move away from mutual respect. When sacred spaces become theaters for political or religious confrontation, the social contract begins to fray. This behavior forces a necessary discussion on the boundaries of peaceful assembly and public conduct.
I believe they're going to cancel the 6:30 City Hall meeting because everybody's chimping the fuck out. They're chimping the fuck out. I don't have bananas. Chill out. I don't have bananas. This is not America. This is an insurgency. They are taking over our country. They're taking over our country. They want us all dead. Let's go.
Wow, what's happening right now? People are pushing.
This one.
Whoa. This is Dearborn, Michigan right now.
Yes, this is Dearborn, Michigan. Any racist is not welcome. No races here. If you can't be peaceful, but every race is welcome. If you're a racist, you're not welcome.
At all, we do not.
Every race is welcome. 1, 2, 3. Our president is a pedophile.
Something is shifting in America, and the corporate media won't touch it. Christians across this country, in Michigan and New York and Texas, are standing up and saying enough. Not with violence, not with hate. With their voices, their presence, and their convictions. Here's the situation, plain and simple. Millions of Americans are watching their communities change faster than anyone voted for. They're seeing city officials bend over backwards to accommodate one group while ignoring another. They're seeing churches close while other religious institutions get city permits and political cover. And they're asking a simple question. Does the First Amendment protect everyone equally, or just the politically convenient?
The Christians today are open idolaters.
They insult Allah, saying that He has a son.
Very first problem I see in America, Christianity.
Do not take the Jews and Christians as your close friends. This is a command from Allah.
Let us take these lessons and teach it to our children. Teach them to hate everything about kufr.
Drawing the boundaries when dealing with the enemy, when dealing with the disbeliever. They overtake the disbelievers. يجاهدون في سبيل الله ولا يخافون لومة لائم. They fight in the path of Allah and they do not fear the headlines.
The question they raise is, why do Muslims hate us? Why are Muslims full of hate against the West or Christianity or Judaism or anything? The Quran tells us the truth.
In Islam, we do not resemble the non-Muslims, Jews, Christians, or anybody else. But you know what's the worst thing? Is to resemble someone who's your enemy.
The Crusaders, the Wasp, they failed.
الصليبيين الحاقدين المجرمين وخونة حكام العرب والمسلمين اللهم احصهم معهم.
You mean of Muslims converting to Christianity?
You have to be careful with it, but I will say that I don't know those Muslims that have converted to Christianity, but it's not something you can do openly. Not that they're going to be killed, but it won't be looked upon well, and it's not easy to do.
They will be killed.
Actually, yeah, in Palestine?
Yeah.
You can talk to me. I guess it doesn't, the interesting thing is I'm Orthodox, and in Orthodoxy, we aren't really a proselytizing faith. It's a faith that becomes of what you are and how you live. You know what I mean? It's so you don't actively do missionary work in a lot of cases.
Did you make any converts?
Because Nigeria has been facing Islamic jihad. They've been killing Christians in numbers. 7 out of 10 persecuted Christians anywhere in the world are in Nigeria. And it is a systematic, deliberate plan to obliterate Christians from that part of the world. Nigeria is the biggest democracy in Africa, the biggest country in Africa, And by the time the Islamists have access, complete access to Nigeria, they will pose a threat to the United States of America. Because Nigeria lies at the coast of the Atlantic Ocean, west of Africa. And across the other side of the Atlantic lies the United States. So Nigeria will pose a bigger threat to the United States more than Iran. Past 12 years, Nigeria...
In Kabul, they just murdered over 10 people. Innocent Christians. On Palm Sunday. Tinubu, where are you? As your people are slaughtered in the night, as you sit in Aso Rock and you do absolutely nothing, you allow your people to be killed again and again and again and again. When will it stop? When will you hear the cries of Nigerians, of Christians? You can no longer deny genocide. They're being slaughtered. And you say...
In locations like Dearborn, Michigan, the friction has moved from the pews to the streets. We see reports of local government meetings being canceled due to intense public pressure and volatile crowds. These incidents highlight a growing sense of instability within municipal governance. When city officials struggle to maintain order or appear to favor specific groups, the perception of institutional neutrality is deeply compromised. Analyzing the rhetoric from these confrontations reveals a troubling trend toward exclusion. Some activists have explicitly called for a rejection of traditional American pluralism, labeling others as enemies based on their faith. Such declarations represent a departure from the constitutional principle that all citizens are equal under the law. Skepticism toward this ideological shift is a natural response from those valuing individual liberty. The tension is exacerbated by perceived inconsistencies in how the First Amendment is applied. Many Americans are questioning why certain religious institutions receive significant political cover while others feel sidelined. If the law is applied unevenly to accommodate political convenience, the foundation of justice is weakened. Equality before the law is a non-negotiable requirement for a free and stable society. The reaction from faith communities has been significant and increasingly organized. Rather than retreating, many are choosing to assert their presence in the public and political spheres. This pushback is framed not as an act of aggression, but as a defense of their right to exist and practice without harassment. It is an assertion that the principles of the American founding are still relevant and worth defending. Critics of the current trajectory argue that we are witnessing an insurgency against the cultural and legal norms of the United States. They suggest that certain movements are betting on the silence and passivity of the majority to achieve their goals. However, the current level of organization among concerned citizens indicates that this assumption may be incorrect. The era of quiet acceptance appears to be ending. The role of the media in these events has also come under scrutiny. Many observers feel that mainstream outlets are ignoring the scale and nature of these cultural clashes. By failing to report on the specific grievances of faith communities, these institutions contribute to a sense of isolation among the public. This information gap is being filled by alternative voices who prioritize transparency and direct analysis. Looking forward, the next few months will likely be a period of significant legal and social clarification. The federal and state governments may be forced to address the coordination and funding behind these public disruptions. A crackdown on groups that use intimidation to silence religious or political opponents would be a return to the rule of law. Order is the prerequisite for the exercise of any meaningful freedom. The debate over the future of American pluralism is no longer a theoretical exercise for academics. It is playing out in town halls, on city streets, and inside houses of worship. The question is whether the United States can maintain its commitment to individual rights in the face of movements that seek to replace them with tribalism. The answer will determine the long-term viability of the American experiment. National identity is often forged in moments of crisis, and this period of friction is no exception. While the rhetoric is often heated, the underlying issue remains the protection of the civil liberties that define this nation. Skepticism toward those who seek to disrupt the peace is not just a political stance. It is a commitment to the preservation of a functional society where all may live without fear. Ultimately, a society that cannot protect its citizens from harassment in their most private and sacred moments is a society in decline. The current pushback reflects a refusal to accept that decline as inevitable. By insisting on reason and the equal application of the law, Americans are reclaiming their right to a stable and free country. The outcome of this struggle will echo for generations to come.